Hello, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Submitted for Your Approval, the weekly card review show for Collected, the community-created card game where you make the cards. We do not have a special guest today, but I am joined by my lovely co-hosts. First, we have Grief coming in from Germany.
Howdy.
And from the far-off land of Oregon, we have Empty Folder, who is now a co-host. Say hi, Empty Folder.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, let's go. Starting with the accepted submissions, the one that kind of slipped through the cracks last week, I think it was actually subbed after Sunday, which for those of you who don't know, we can only do stuff that's submitted like Sunday before noon, so get that stuff in. Art of Replication is a 3-drop neutral action from nowhere in particular with create a 1/1 plant copy of a unit and create a wax copy of it in your hand. So this is a from the Quad Seat competition that we're hosting on the Discord. And the idea with it is to unite the whole 1/1 plant copy theme, which is a big thing with like Antera, and the wax copy thing, which has been a growing thing with Lux. And it has this super cute art by Space Turtle. Space Turtle's been blowing me away with the arts recently. I love copy effects, and I love the potential that this card has. Grief, what do you think of it?
It's cute both in art and in design. I personally don't have anything against the card. I think it may be useful for, further down the line, depending on what kind of targets you want to hit with it. If the tribes are really important or not, that's also a question, and so on and so forth. There will probably be a home for this card, but I'm not seeing it just right now.
You don't think Green Man? Bear in mind, we just got the green trench coat trio in from yours truly.
That's one thing, but on the other hand, I mean, outside of Green Man, because people like Green Man, I mean another token or whatever deck that really likes copying effects.
Yeah. I definitely agree that this has one obvious answer and needs some less obvious answers or some more interesting answers going forward. I do know, and it got resubbed this week, so do your duty. I had Sporium resub the Flamingos. So get on the Discord or the Reddit and vote up the Flamingos, please, for me, maybe. Also, Scuttling Hermit Crab update. Empty, what do you think of this?
You kind of hit the nail on the head, Stringer side. It has a really obvious answer, and I want to see the less obvious answers with this card.
Yeah, definitely.
Go Flamingo, go.
Yeah, well, I mean, with Flamingo, this would be perfect. Go Flamingo. Okie doke. Oh, I have to scroll up because I did something that caused me to have to scroll up. Okay. I don't necessarily agree with the philosophy behind Grief deciding to feature this card, but let's do it. Fragmented Soul is a 1-drop neutral 1/1, nothing from nowhere in particular, and its text box is
empty.
So I
Empty,
think
take it
that
away.
this is one of the worst cards that got in this week, and I usually try not to be so harsh on Submitted for Your Approval. And here's why. So my big criticisms with it are, I do like the art from Sing. I don't know who that is. I think it's like an older player from like the Alpha days. And I'm so glad to see that this art finally got off the art sheet. Major criticisms here. Firstly, lack of a tribe line. That's a big issue with me. I like it. This could have been a Spectre. This could have played into some existing synergies. Also, lack of a realm. This one was a more curious decision because there's a lot of realms that a Spectre could have gone into if they went with the Spectre direction. The biggest personal criticism I have with this card, though, is that it's a token off another card that managed to get in, and I just hate when that happens. Okay, so Grief, you want to talk on it?
I don't really. I can see the tribal gripe, but the realm gripe is pretty unnecessary in this case. But holy hell, people, get your shit together when it comes to actually designing tokens with a rarity. I personally don't have an issue with that. Let's say it's an unofficial 11th card. problem is, if you design cards with a rarity that are also meant to be tokens to subvert the to basically go around the official submission rulings, which I don't have a problem with either. Please make them at least standalone cards that are partially good enough, so we don't have to actually, in this case, waste up these slots to make them decent enough.
I think this was an accident, wasn't it?
I don't care.
I mean, I assume so.
Yeah, yeah.
Even if it is, now we have to make it a 2/2.
Yeah, now we do. Pretty much.
Now we
Well,
have
what
to make it a
about
2.
I don't even know the card song. Wouldn't it make that card too strong?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Not really.
This
card
is the
in
card
question,
we're reviewing today, Empty.
By the way, the card that this is a token of is the so-called Soul Crusher, which is a Spectre Arcanist, 3-cost, 3/1, summon, destroy an ally unit, create 3 Fragmented Souls with its tribe. Sure, if we do make them 2/2s, they could basically turn a 1-drop unit into 3 2/2 bodies, which is kind of hilarious, but I think it's okay in context.
Oh, so that's why they don't have tribes, is because they're off Soul Crusher. That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The thing is, we could technically make this a 0-cost unit.
Yeah.
So it is a fluffy boy.
I do think it still should have had the Spectre tribe on top of whatever it has for flavor reasons, and because it just looks lonely on the card. But of course, that's if we're evaluating this as a common, which it's not supposed to be. MT, what do you think of this?
I would love if this is the way we finally get a 1-mana 2/2 with no text.
Yes.
That would be cool. Okay.
But yeah, other than that, that's about it.
I think we have drained this gag dry.
This is not a gag, this is dead serious.
The Vengeful Strike is a 3-drop strength action from Yamato with return the top unit of your graveyard into play. It duels a unit, then banish it. Fun story about this. I heard not one, but several people when the new cards got in who had never read this card before. And I'm talking dedicated players, people who read this stuff and follow the sub. We are very confused as to why this got in, but let's evaluate it on its merits. Really interesting art from Dia. I think this is like seeing more motion and stuff than we normally see from Dia's art. It's a little cloudy in terms of like how the effects were managed, but I think it's really interesting and I enjoy it. I enjoy the piece. This looks like they were saying, especially, and I guess this is the presence of Yamato like kind of doing that for me, but this seems like they're doing Kagemusha but backwards. And my first thought with this, because they're kind of like priming those thoughts in my head, is to run it with Samurai. But obviously you can run this in any sort of strength build. It has its ups and its downs. Basically, this is just a weird way to do 3-drop removal that can also proc entrances and other interesting things. MD, what do you think of this?
I think it's a really cool idea, and I like it in that Kagemusha space, but I think the current version is too weak, since a lot of the time, depending on what's on top of your graveyard, it's just going to be dead. Because if you have like a 1-drop on top, this doesn't do anything. So I think either reducing the cost to 2 mana or giving you more choice with what you bring back would be a good update. It's kind of a shame because I really want to see the Kagemusha Samurai get off the ground, but I don't think this card is doing them any favors.
I think the top is an interesting restriction. I kind of wish it went back into the graveyard and then shuffled your graveyard, but there is no such thing. So,
yeah, it could be really cool to use this with like Firestar because that's a permanent effect.
Yeah.
And you have like this own bouncing deck. Like there's a lot of cool stuff. It's just too much setup, I think.
I definitely agree that this has a lot of interesting combos and stuff. Grief, what do you think?
This is, again, weird reanimator nonsense from which we recently have in Strength. Nothing against Red Reanimator. I like it. It's just weak at 3 cost. Because most of the time you actually need to set your graveyard up to utilize it. And usually you want a target that either has a slay effect or
An entrance that you care about.
an entrance, maybe something else that cares about, well, dealing damage or stuff like that. In this case, it's fine, but still. This card is a card that doesn't want to be run in a strength deck, but in a spirit deck. Because they have a far easier time to actually manipulate their own graveyard.
Yeah. I think that the tension and stuff this creates is interesting in its own right.
It's an interesting card, but as I said, you don't really want to run it for 3 in strength or for 4 in spirit.
Yeah. It goes to that old problem of like you want to play it in a deck that's totally optimizes what it does. And in that light, it looks bad. Even though, like, for what it actually does, there's nothing in necessarily all that wrong with it. It's just that players want to play it in the most optimal deck.
It's a cool card.
Yeah. But I think, honestly, I hope that this pushes a direction for either Yamato, Samurai, or Strength. I want this in Strength because I want people to build other cards later to optimize this, basically. That's my personal opinion. Though I can see where you guys are coming from. So, let's get in on the active submissions, of course, because I'm a huge fan of this contest we got going on. I picked almost all contest designs. Starting with Dr. Felenstein is a 5-drop neutral 5/4 cat scientist from nowhere in particular with entrance, combine all 1-cost allies into a mutant. The mutant is a 1-drop neutral shapeshifter cat that has the combined attack, HP, tribes, and non-summon abilities of every card used to create this. So the challenge here was to create a 5-drop unit that synergizes with 1-drops and make it a cat. For those of you who don't know, we had this long history, this big iconic thing in Legacy of the magicians, Perlock, Necromancer, and Clometerge. And so this is supposed to be sort of an ode to the old stuff, but also works with a lot of the new stuff. Most importantly, it only combines non-summons in the tradition of the old one. It does, however, combine entrances. So this lets you create a very, very large, very huge, very scary big green man.
Words.
Yeah. You can get a very, very big green man off with this. And perhaps with some thinking, maybe in probably Cam, I think there's a 1-drop ward in Legacy in the form of Voidy Boy. Does Voidy Boy have ward or just Deadly?
I think Voidy Boy scours and has Deadly.
Oh, scours and Deadly. I'm trying to think if there's a one. There's probably
there
1 drop.
There are a lot of 1-drops.
You'd want to just do untargetable, I think.
Exactly,
Or yeah, you can do it because it's all target. You can do a 1-drop on tar. Oh, Pristine Knight. Pristine Knight's your target here. So you can do Pristine Knight in mind. You can do a bunch of green men. And then you could also maybe throw in is there a 1-drop overrun out there? I'd like to believe.
To be honest, you wouldn't run this in green men if you were running this in Legacy.
Well, I don't think you'd run a green man at standard either. I think it's more efficient to just give the green men you have overrun and try and win.
Exactly, because the thing is you're absorbing all your 1-drops into one single target.
Yeah. Yes. So you need to have something to protect it. And I see what you mean. It's probably more in the realm of single player jank. That's kind of what I do. Art-wise, I think this is super cool. It's both very stylized, and it also references the this cat face, which I've seen circling around the meme circles. I think it's super cool. Grief, what do you think?
Cute little design. Probably can be broken. Don't see how it could be broken easily. because you're still running a plethora of 1-drops to get a payoff that you have to draw into first. And even though it's neutral, it's still a 5-drop.
Yeah.
So overall, it's a cute little design. Nothing against it.
Empty, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's kind of bad. You're like consolidating all your stuff into like one easy to remove package. Obviously, like I think the only way you're gonna run this is if there's some combo I'm not thinking of that completely breaks this. Which there could be, because the only thing that I think makes this card potentially strong is the fact that the mutant, its cost remains at 1 even after combining, which is different than other combine effects we have, like mass.
Oh, yeah.
So you could use that potentially to create some sort of weird janky combo, but I'm not really seeing that combo, and I can't think of it in my head.
I get you. I definitely agree. It remains to be seen what exactly we can do with it. But yeah, it's seeing a big, scary 1 cost, synergizing with like Haunted Yarn and all that other stuff. That could be really, really fun. Maybe we can make cats into just a single player jank, or maybe a legacy deck. Who knows? I think one of the problems was this challenge required the card to be 4 or more or 5 or more cost. I want to see if this, and maybe this is too pushed, making it a 4-drop with stats to compensate. Because I think if this got out just a little bit earlier, it could really shine. Okie doke.
The other issue in KM, depending on your affinity, your units are going to increase in cost and not be 1 cost anymore. Oh, that makes it so much more difficult.
Yeah, because then you can't even run it with like a bunch of the other magician stuff.
Yeah.
There might be a golden way to do this we're not seeing, but
It's not Rainbow Prism, because in the Legacy League I banned it.
okay. The Guide to Cheating Life is a 3-drop neutral trick book from Wanderstar Casino with choose to play one of Troll Roy's tricks. His name is Troy Roll, but it just messed me up there. The Infinite Energy trick refreshes all mana of both players. The Faster Acquiring trick gives all units when this damages the opponent steal the newest card of their hand. Double-Sided Butter, all units get rebound this turn. And Oil Floats on Water, all units take 1 damage and get flying. So you basically get a don't look down for every single unit, a bunch of rebounds. Everybody becomes pirates, and get all your mana back. This is a very interesting balancing conundrum. I am definitely scared of what certain modes could do for multiplayer, but I'm not a multiplayer guy. So for me, this is just incredibly cute. I want to see what it could do. I want to see how this could slot into a limited deck. I want to draft this for Sentinels because it's got the very, very short text box. It has exactly enough words to show up in a commune. This is the kind of card I like, but I can see where some people might not like this, so Empty, will let you go first.
One of these modes is problematic and the rest are fine. Faster Acquiring is really strong because Dune Walkers exist. And this is absolutely insane with them. Like if you ever get ahead on board, you just drop this Faster Acquiring, and you just take your opponent's entire hand that turn with Dune Walkers. Like that's how strong that mode can be for that deck.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree.
Like Dune Walker Rogue, you just have active steal your opponent's newest card every turn. Like on off initiative, you can just take the card they drew, and if they don't have a hand, they don't get to play anything that turn. And like that mode, you're giving your opponent the least advantage if they don't have much of a board presence, because they're not going to be able to get through your board if you have the lead.
Oh, and yeah, I do not like the dissymmetry of it. Appears that all of the other modes are this turn, or they have. Yeah. Oh no, I guess get flying is they get flying forever. But I feel like if all the modes were this turn, maybe that would be a little bit better. But the fact that those are...
I think all the other modes are fine.
Yeah.
Like, it's just that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I didn't think of that because I don't spend a lot of time sitting around playing multiplayer. Grief, what do you think?
Besides fast acquiring, this card is actually kind of fine. It's a weird version of a split card, considering that you either get a board wipe with a weird gimmick attached to it. Like, what was it from a Night Shift Merchant? One of the curios that deals damage to a unit and gives them flying?
Yeah.
This is basically this, just as a board wide version, which which brings me to the next point. Most of these effects benefit the person who's basically winning already. Besides oil floating in water, which is a pseudo acid rain, but overall, if you're ahead on board, you drop this card, you probably win anyway. Your board now has flying, or you survive any kind of answer to until the end of turn, or you basically rip apart the hand of your opponent. You will never use infinite energy.
I think in a very specific combo setup that might shine, but that's probably the realm of tank.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely agree that this mode's a little bit messed up. I forgot to record how it's sitting on the thing, but I actually hope this one does really well because I think it's a really interesting idea. Now the one that I did not give my other co-hosts enough time to actually check out, and I apologize for that. And another card with a lot of modes. Luke BB is a 5-drop neutral 1/6 human from Tolera with ready this before combat and active, pay 1 mana to create 2 random Toleran fruit drinks. They're each 1-drop neutral drinks from Tolera. True Spice Cocktail gives a unit +3 attack and overrun this turn. Seedless Trioed Sap gives a unit +1 HP and increases its attack to match its HP. Zap Fruit Juice gives a unit Duelist this turn and readies it. The Frostberry Shake gives a unit +2/+3 and exhausts it. And the Blastberry Brew gives a unit Rage, deal 3 damage to a random enemy unit. So, there's a lot to unpack here. Notably, you have a 20% chance on paying 1 mana and getting something out that is going to re-ready your unit, which could in turn be used to just feed back into Luke, which could be used to get another drink because he gives 2 drinks out every time you do something with him. But overall, I think it's very interesting. I think this explores the whole this turn space that we don't explore nearly enough in this game. It gives you this interesting thing in Frostberry Shake where you could use it as a spot exhaust, but you end up powering your opponent's units. Causing big units to or high HP units to become square units with Seedless Trioed. The only problem is they are random, but you get 2 of them. So I think this is the interesting bit of controlled randomness where you got to kind of like pay close attention to what's going on and be able to utilize multiple modes, which because it's neutral, that should be doable. Grief, what do you think of this?
Oh, this card is shit.
Grief doesn't like it. Why don't you like it, Grief?
20% is this correct? Isn't 20%?
Oh, it's 40%
if you
chance of, yeah.
If you hit both
because it's
drinks
create
as
2 random drinks. I keep forgetting about that.
Yeah.
So you have I think it is you get 2 original ones each time. So you have a 40% chance of being able to pay an additional 1 to go again if you don't like what you rolled.
Okay. Still, I don't like the card to begin with. God, this is shit. Oh god, you're paying 5 mana for a unit that readies before combat is basically a 1/6 blocker at that point because you don't want to hit with it, and in a 1 attack matters that you're not paying 5 mana for nothing.
Yeah.
Then with an income tax of 1 mana payment to activate this dude, just so you can use him as another turn of blocker where he probably dies. You're getting cocktail drinks on a random order, which you should never do even if you're going partying. None of these are interesting. You get the duelist and readying is fine because it's spot removal ish for board deck, which if you're already playing a board centric mid-range deck, you're not playing this dude to get a random duelist ready effect by chance. Same goes for the overrun buff, which is the only solid one if you're if it comes to basically trying to get any kind of immediate benefit out of it, because this benefits even this sucker. The HP gain, HP equalization effect. God, is that niche? Someone not playing actually a fucking a Dunewalker deck wants to get a payoff off of that. Oh no, all my damn units have higher attack than HP or already hurt. And still, with 1 HP, they're not actually getting more attack.
Yeah. Okay. I can see what your issues are with this.
And so on and so forth.
I did not think of a couple things. You are right, it is 40%. 5 is way too late for this thing to come out. I think this card is not beyond salvation. I would like to see this card get resubbed. It is slow, and it does have randomness, which I know you guys are opposed to. Seeing all of these with fast might be interesting. Just slap fast onto all of these, and I think it would be cool.
This dude has to create them on enter already, or else this card will never.
So you're saying like summon an active?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying, because it is vulnerable and it already comes out really, really late. MT, what do you think of this?
I mean, this is like, it's really bad. And it's the type of RNG I don't like, where it's not actually adding anything to the card.
Yeah.
Like, this could be choose so easily.
Well, for Zapfruit, maybe. No, I guess even for Zapfruit, maybe it could.
Yeah, it's so weak. And making it random on top of that, where like you could use this 3 times and not get one of the drinks you want. Like, you're looking for that overrun, and oh no, I sunk 8 mana into my card and I didn't get it.
So you would take away the random, and I'm thinking that might be actually a good move. At first, I was thinking that Zapfruit's a problem, but because it is a paid active, and because it is a paid, like, what was it? Taulia was supposed to be the realm of paid actives. You got to think through the implications of that, and I wasn't thinking it through. So you would remove the random.
Like, what are you gonna do? Spend all your mana and get a whole bunch of drinks? Like, you can't.
Oh god. Do we have some barkeeps in here? How much does it actually cost to do some flat rate drinking?
Okay, so you can get rid of the random. I say add fast to 1, if not all of these modes, just because it would make them more interesting and compelling and interactive.
And slap entrance or summon on that, and then we have a decent card at the end.
I even get rid of the ready this before combat and just make it summon, create 2 drinks, and then active, pay 1 mana, create 2 drinks. And you don't have to add Taulian fruit drinks. Just summon, create 2 drinks. Active, pay 1 mana, create 2 drinks. It could probably fit on a common at that point, right?
Probably.
But I would definitely slap fast on him, because I think the interactions that has with the duelist and the overrun and actually most of the modes is really, really interesting. And maybe, just for flavor, slap fast on Luke. Maybe he's a fast bartender. Mixing them drinks up, doing the cocktail shaker stuff. I don't think this is beyond salvation, but
no, it isn't.
No,
the current
especially after hearing you guys talk, it definitely needs some fixing. Yeah.
I mean, JTAG put like so much work into all this art for all these different drinks. Like, it'd be a shame to just see it.
And they're cute. Exactly. Okay, we're going back for a second. They're beautiful. The art he did is beautiful for this. It needs to get in. It just needs some tweaking. Okay. Consecrated Soil is a 1-drop spirit 0/3 place with can't attack, and when a unit enters a graveyard, silence it and gain 2 HP. This is so weird, because with a general enough idea, such as when a unit enters a graveyard, gain 2 HP, feels like this is supposed to encourage mill. But every single Grave Source deck doesn't want to run this because it silences things on the way to the grave. And so my question is, do I want to run this in an enemy mill deck? Is enemy mill in a place where I could do this? This is definitely Grief's specialty, so I'm going to let him talk first.
This, and funny that you don't like tutors, Goga, is a card that you want to tutor, because in a general sense, you wouldn't actually play this in a deck. Because this is a silver bullet. This is a hate bearish effect, where you place this on the board, either dual stuff away, make your opponent discard, or mill them in any shape or form to actually put stuff into their graveyard. This is fine enough. If this wouldn't gain you HP, this would be a worse version of the would be always a worse version of Bell Who Tolls or the Silence or Banish Angel. Yes, this shits on Grave Source decks, and it is basically meant to do so because you never want to silence your own shit. And if you do, you don't care about it in the first place. But as I said, this is a card you don't want to run a tree of. You want to have one copy of it in your deck and be able to have the flexibility to tutor for that card and put it into the board when you need it. Because in a ladder scenario, which is basically the bane of Collective's existence, because we don't have sideboards or stuff like that, or best of 3 formats, outside of competitive play, and see where that's gone, you never will play this card.
See, I wanted, if anything with this, to be able to use this to just gain an insane amount of HP doing enemy. Because, like you said, it's a tech card. The only thought I could use for this, besides hating on Grave Source, is how can I maximize that HP? And because that number's 2, there's not really a lot. And because there's not a lot of enemy mill, there's not really a lot.
By the way, this should be 3 HP, yeah, for the 3 HP synergies.
But then you could, well, then the complaint would be like, oh, but I could mill them 5, and then I could trigger my gain 3 times. But that could be cool. That could be cool.
The thing is, that's not even a good complaint, because you're silencing probably pretty good cards.
Well, yeah, but if there's more enemy mill, but we don't have that level of enemy mill. This could make a viable mill deck if we gave it some other tools that it doesn't just have right now. So I think maybe this could be a card, just not a card for right now. And I thought it was interesting because, like, the way that most spirit decks use the graveyard, they wouldn't want to run this. Like, I almost want this to be neutral, because even as tech, like, right? Like, everyone, well, no, the HP gain could get out of hand. I don't know. It's in a weird spot, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. MD, what do you think of this?
I mean, I think this has a lot of potential to be really good in enemy mill.
Yeah.
There's a lot of neat stuff you can do with this. And against decks that run a lot of units, which are usually going to be aggro and mid-range where the life actually matters, like, you can gain obscene amounts of life. You can also run the 2-mana card, I can't remember what it's called, but it puts your opponent's graveyard into your graveyard, and that re-entrances all of the effects. And then you just gain an obscene amount of life. So there's a lot of cool stuff with this card, but not in standard, because there's no mill in standard.
Yeah. So I think this card, it just needs a different environment around it.
Legacy, you can actually tutor for it with, what was it, Glory of the Recruits, where you can actually get 2 cards with 1 attack or less into your hand, which you can then find this.
Yeah.
You can also probably go the Parallelism route.
Yeah. The Day Rite is a 4-drop spirit exclusive ritual from Swiatlo. Gain HP, draw a strength card, 8 HP, draw a strength card, make cards in your hand spirit permanently. Gokun dislikes this. We were talking about Gokun a lot today. I don't know why we're being so mean to him. But anyways, and there is still an active contingent of people who are against tutors. Where is my stance on this? I don't mind tutors. I like consistency tools. The only thing that really bugs me or weirds me out about this is it's forcing the hand of off affinity in a really, really awkward way, in my opinion. But like I don't like a lot of like specific affinity references personally. I could definitely see where this card would appeal to people, so I kind of have to like reserve all my judgments and biases on this. I don't really know what you could do with this card. Empty, what do you think about this?
I love tutors. Like at the complete opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah, I like tutors too. I just don't like this one. But that's, like I said, a lot of personal biases.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it either. I wish it was like draw a non-spirit card or something.
That would have been better for me personally. Like I could even get behind that.
It's just very limited in its application, which I think is going to hurt its play rate.
Yeah.
Grief?
I can see why this draws a strength card. Think of the other race of Sviatlo.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. But they have like the Dusk Plains too. Those are mine.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, shenanigans of drawing just strength cards and stuff like that. But aside, I mean, we had Pot of Gold already in the wait a second. Okay. Sorry, that was just my grandma. She was looking for something. I don't really have anything against this card, even if it's specific strength. So you could actually build around your deck with 2 to 3 good targets that you want to find off of it. Overall, I can see of affinity instead of strength, just so you could actually, well, find something else. It's a weird, in short, it's a weird way of actually just turning all your cards into one affinity. It's the tutor version of what was the card in Legacy called? Which
Mana
reduced the
Claweye?
cost. Mana Claweye, yeah, Claweye, exactly. Overall, not the worst card. I don't really get a hate for that card in particular because it's not a direct tutor in any shape or form.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's awkward. I think maybe one could argue, and I know this wasn't the way the card was designed, but if I was to guess how this card was designed, having not watched those discussions, I was like, oh, this card would be trying real hard to be a compromise position against the tutor and the non-tutor people, right? But like, that's not really what it was. It was trying to be a flavorful.
We have a compromise card on the subreddit, and I actively avoided not to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but this was really done for like flavorful reasons. But I feel, I mean, and for people who are into Sviatlo, they might be, oh, for flavor reasons, this is super interesting. But yeah, Fortune Predestined is a 6-drop spirit action from Walnut. With both players starting with you, choose a unit, destroy all unchosen units. So this gets me excited. This reminds me of a lot of my favorite effects from Magic. The tragic backstory card for Gideon. It's not actually called Tragic Backstory, but it's Tragic Backstory. You know the one I'm talking about, right, Empty?
Yeah.
And Grief does? Okay. Yeah, Tragic Backstory from Gideon. The other cards that are that's a reference to, and the cards that have came since. And there's like a giant that does it, I think. Oh yeah, there was in Kaladesh something.
Oh, it's Tragic Arrogance.
Tragic Arrogance, there we go. So this is an interesting board wipe. Obviously, this hates on any kind of aggro. You have a bunch of really, really puny units. I have one big unit, and I'm gonna hold my own with it. And so I like how this does support a more control-y play style for Spirit potentially, but also this is good just because it wipes the board. And I mean, any board wipe is maybe I'm the aggro player and want to have this as an emergency in my back pocket because the one card I'm going to keep around is a deadly unit. Right? This has plenty of interesting play and counterplay, and this is just the kind of card I like to see in the game, and an effect we just need. And a flavor text that is awesome. I just really, really enjoyed that. Grief, what do you think of this?
By the way, not picked it because it's a one-off card. I just adore these types of effects.
Yeah.
It's the kind of board wipe that basically for me operates in the same level of, hey, I choose this unit and destroy everything with attack higher than this and shit like that. I love these kinds of grand equalizing effects, which just pick apart boards that are either going wide or going tall and stuff like that. And I think we're lacking these kinds of effects for a long while now. So I just love that we see this kind of card. It just pains me that it only has 6 upvotes.
Yeah, it needs more. Come on, guys. More board wipes.
Also
Empty,
the art. The art.
The art is gorgeous.
Yeah, the Suicide King.
MD, what do you think?
Oh, this is an awesome card. Whenever I see a board wipe, I always look at it like, how interesting is this to play around? Like, if I'm playing an aggro deck, like, how can I outplay my opponent to take advantage of knowing what board wipe they're playing? And this is an amazing card for that. Like, really solid design by Specberg.
Yeah. I'm not going to give him full credit on the design because I think every card game does some variant on this effect, but it is a much needed design, and I'm glad he went ahead and put that on this card. Okay. This is Dia and Grief teaming up to torture me with my Anglican pronunciation woes. Kaee, Daud, Sainik is 5-drop neutral, 4/5 elephant, dog, cat, Hydra Knight with leap, agile, overrun fast, and rage. You gain +4 HP. For those of you who did not catch it, so Dia is a big fan of the realms that reflect the interesting cultures and histories of other real world cultures, and came up with a little story that they put in the flavor text here. And as a reference to its 5 tribes, it has precisely 5 effects because that was the challenge. So it's got the leap, which references one of the two cat sides. Agile references the other one. Overrun references the lion. Fast references the knight, and rage references the hydra. And with that, it's a really, really cute design. I really enjoy it. Grief, you could go first.
I really don't want to.
Didn't you pick this?
Yeah.
Why'd you pick this?
This is probably one of the better examples of just going with the prompt is a stupid idea. Because this is I think this is a card from the prompt sheet.
Yeah.
Sure, this is overrun, this is agile, this is leap slapped on top of it, and fast, which it doesn't really need. And the rage effect that references the hydra, but gains you HP, which is completely unnecessary. All in a neutral package for 5-drop 4/5 that you will never play, or even see the light of day outside of Sentinels. Because that's probably the only home way it would probably be played, and even ambush would be probably more useful than the leap part of this card.
I agree on that, actually. From a flavorful perspective, the choice of doing the 5 keywords, 5 things was cute, but the choices could have been made. You're right. Ambush would have been probably a better choice for leap.
Also would have made
fast
sense.
Fast is a weird choice altogether.
The ambush would have made sense with a snake or even with the elephant.
Mm-hmm.
the rage could have been way better.
Yeah.
The thing is, this is a keyword soup card that doesn't work as a keyword soup card.
Yeah, it's easy to just slap a lot of things there, but you actually got to think about what it needs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for the flavor score, I think this did really well, but I do agree with what you're saying that it lacks cohesion. Empty, what do you think?
Yeah, like lack of cohesion is the big thing. Like it's a pretty simple card, but the abilities just don't work together. Like just think about the keyword choice more.
Yeah. Because I think there's even a couple ambush as a choice instead of ambush as a choice instead of leap would have still fit the whole let's do one flavor for each tribe and been more interesting. Instead of just thinking of the first thing, I think they should have maybe thought more through the different options. Now let's talk about Kuruwons Descendant. Is a 6-drop spirit 4/5 giant bird from Yamato with flying, agile, and fast. When you play a unit with a tribe not present among allies, give all allied units +1 attack this turn. Strategist, which was a keyword developed by Space Turtle. When this unit attacks, you may also choose an enemy attacking unit to block. So it lets you block and attack at once. Things I like about this card, which is always what I'm going to start out about. I do really because I'm a huge fan of tribes, both in terms of tribal decks. I had actually thought for a long time about how to maybe expand, say, the Gralix and Carthian to support menagerie decks, where you care about different tribes. I really do enjoy this idea here, and it definitely gets my head brewing with possibilities. Like, the idea of moving this design space into collective excites me. Now let's talk about what doesn't excite me. I, again, think that this is kind of lacking in cohesion. I think this is doing a lot of things just to do them and just to look cool. And of course, this builds up a bit of the lore that I don't know much about Yamato, so I'm not all that excited about. Besides that, so the question was, why is this not getting a lot of votes on the subreddit? And this was the question that Grief wanted to answer publicly here. I know, however, I've been giving Grief too many starts on this episode.
I didn't want it to start at the last card, so please.
So I'm actually not going to give Grief the start here. I'm going to give Empty Folder the start, and then I'll let Grief give closing remarks. Empty.
Yeah. So like the last card we just looked at, this one also just suffers from a general lack of cohesion. It's all over the place. Another thing that like really annoys me, because I see this all the time, is people using fast without like having any intention for it. They're just like, oh, this is speedy, let's give it fast so people know that. It's just a really weird design. It has like the multi-tribe thing, but like it's at 6 mana and it's only boosting attack. I don't really know what's going on here. I like strategist as a keyword, but I don't think this is utilizing it that well either.
Yeah, I disagree. Yeah, I totally agree that it's not being used effectively. I do think the menagerie effect is interesting, and that was a good point you brought up that I didn't even think of, that at 6, the menagerie effect is not going to go anywhere. I mean, the game is wrapping up at that point, unless you're playing this maybe in Sentinels or Limited, and you're in a particularly stally match, and basically you have to have the perfect storm to make good use on the menagerie effect, which is, I think, the most exciting part of this card. Grief, closing notes.
Every point that came before makes a lot of sense. This is a completely disjointed design, has very interesting design seeds in it, but doesn't go the extra mile to actually tie them together. So to answer the question why it doesn't do well is not because it is a bad design, it's a very bad execution of a good design idea. To make this card a little bit better, because funny enough, we had the keyword soup card before, which sure, it's a keyword soup card, but it's not a rare. So cards that even waste a lot of text and don't actually make sense as a card have a very hard time to make it in the end. This dude could grant units in your deck fast. Would make sense with the Menagerie effect, because you could actually play a zoo deck that plays multiple units fast, then buffs the entire board. Which, next point, this is a 6-drop flying agile unit. Why does it only buff by 1 attack for the board? Give it a +1/+1 because you're already playing the zoo deck.
1 attack, 1 turn. This could give +1/+1 fiat.
Exactly. Next point. Why is strategist on this card? Strategist is a very, very interesting card keyword idea from all the keyword ideas that I've seen so far floating around. And to answer the question from Magneter just a day ago when I was, or was it earlier today? I don't remember. When I was talking about bad executions on keywords. This is a card that doesn't utilize its keyword in any shape or form. So why is it on it?
As the guy behind Harmonize, strategist puts Harmonize to shame. And I still don't get why it's on here.
If this would have, funny enough, Harmonize, it would be or grant units Harmonize. This would be even more weirder of an effect, because now you would actually try to either build a zoo deck or a tribal deck.
That would actually be fun if you have a unit, because the other part of Harmonize, if they also have Harmonize. If you play a unit with a tribe not present among allies, give it Harmonize would actually make sense. And that's
Exactly.
Oh, that would be really cool.
I
Now
might just make that card after this. I'm sorry, dude. I think I'm jumping on the.
So
it
the thing
has
is,
really good
just
potential.
remove fast and strategist from this card and implement them into the buffs for the units that you're playing off of it. Since then, this card would actually be a very interesting, quote-unquote, over-tribe lord, which both plays into a zoo deck and in a weird tribal matters, harmonized matters deck.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move off of Grief picks onto Empty's picks with the Imp of Hustling. Is a 2-drop neutral 3/3 demon from Wonderstar Casino. Entrance, draw a card, and discard 2 cards. Cute, clean design. I really, really think this is neat in just how simple it is, but also creates some interesting tension. You get a little bit of card advantage. You have to give it up later. Grief, you want to talk on this?
Clean design, love it. I would probably play it in Legacy and Spectres.
I do like how you can use this to jump around, and maybe if you could find a way to proc that entrance the second time by flickering it. Well, we need more flicker, but you know what I mean. Actually, it would be weird. Oddly enough, this would almost work better as a summon, because there's easier to get summons off multiple times in certain decks.
Funny enough, I would probably play this in Demon Beatdown, because Forlorn reduces its cost by 2.
Yeah. So yeah, very, very interesting design, and it makes me wish we had more flickers to play around with and get more mileage out of the entrance effect. Empty, what do you think of this? Why'd you pick this?
Oh, I mean, like Reef said, it's a really clean design. Fits right into Spectres, which is one of my favorite decks. And on top of that, it has the added entrance synergy, where you can do like some sort of interesting combos with flicker effects to get some card advantage.
Yeah. So nice and clean and under control. And oops, wrong link. Link's out of order. Okay.
Oh no.
Yep.
It's all right. Don't worry about it. Cien the Militia Leader is a 2-drop strength 1/3 Nightling from Swiatlo with summon. Give a unit when this deals damage. Draw a unit with a summon and Entomb Bound Cien. I'm going to tell you guys why Empty was excited about this and why Empty picked this card. This is a summon tutor, which helps him in his Nightling deck by letting him get specific things with summons. It also has the interesting bit of protection where you can entomb to bounce Cien. Actually gives it the chance to, if the unit that its effect is on dies, Cien gets to hide and be a coward and be protected. Why I personally am not a huge fan of this is because I think when this deals damage, draw a unit with a summon, except in the context of the specific tribal deck, is basically like draw a random hodgepodge of unrelated units. So it's basically a short way of saying draw a Nightling. It's a little broad, but I think it almost gets too broad. And that's personally a little iffy. And I understand that this is just a deck that's I'm not behind. I've always loved this particular art. And I think this is an interesting card. Just not one I would personally run. Empty. How much did I get right?
Pretty much all of it.
Okay.
Like, it's very difficult to use this for a tutor, actually, because it doesn't have another, so it can hit itself. And if you're running 3 copies of it and 3 copies of the card you want to tutor, you have a good chance of just hitting another Cien.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is meant for the Nightling deck. Like, it's basically written all over it.
Yeah.
But I think it does its job quite well. And having that reliable summon that can just come back over and over again with the bounce and like get you long-term value really establishes Nightlings into the mid-range space, which I know is where Flopper wants it.
Oh yeah, it's just draw, so you don't get control over it.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that a lot better. I like that it has a chance of bumping into itself. This is interesting. I do like this. Now that I noticed that, I had a little bit of an issue with it because I was thinking of Rite, I think, and then I just got a little yeah. Grafe, what do you think of this?
Not so obvious deck. Play this as a 1/2 off and put it on a Dunewalker Archer in the Dunewalker deck.
Wait,
Because
but Archer doesn't deal damage. Archer is life loss.
No, what was it? Or was it the Hunter that deals damage?
The Rogue? You mean the one with active deal 1 damage? Sure.
Yeah.
But
That
all
turn 1, this turn 3?
Yeah, Archer is lose HP to avoid interactions like that.
Yeah.
Ah, shit. But what was... I remember that there was a fucking...
You can do,
Dunewalker
there's
that
one
shoots...
of the, it's the band members. One of the band members duels your opponent whenever a 1 attack unit enters play.
Okay. Yeah, whatever. Maybe I have too much of the Dunewalkers and Legacy in mind, which can also hit multiple instances of phase. So yeah, put that on one of those multi-shot Dunewalkers. Have a field day. Because now you can actually summon multiple summon units. Because it's for each instance of dealing damage.
Yeah.
And it's just dealing damage and not combat damage.
Yeah, there's plenty of definitely cool, and this does fit in as like a de facto Dunewalker.
Exactly, it has
just
1 attack.
because it's one attack, and that would be a really funny include. I actually enjoy that idea.
You could run this in KM too. Turn 1 Dunewalker Rogue, turn 2 Cien.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I've been messing around with like a Thief KM deck that runs Washad. You have a whole bunch of units with direct damage effects. That would be interesting there.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay, the Hrillian Elder is a 4-drop neutral 4/5 monkey lord from Black Rift. With summon, reduce the cost of non-native and monkey cards in hand by 2. For those of you who aren't aware, non-native means it didn't start in your deck by means of being created, scouted, or just tokens, copies, stuff like that. I really should have switched the designer credit because it was really Wujek Marion that turned me on to this thing in this card games. What I do not play, it's called Hearthstones, and apparently they did a thing like this, and I was like, oh, that looks like a Black Rift, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna tweak it a little bit, and then this is what we ended up with. Who went first last time?
Just talk about it, stranger. It's your tag on it.
It's actually not my car. Well, I did part of the design. Obviously, I commissioned the art. I commissioned the art. I basically just slapped this together and blocked it. It's really not my design as much as one would believe. Grief, what do you think of it?
It's a fine Black Rift card.
You don't think that reduced cost of stuff in hand by 2 is too powerful?
It's a fine Black Rift card.
Okay.
I'm not going into the implications of any kind of action spam shenanigans one might actually have with it.
Yeah, I mean that's what it does. It does. Well, that's the thing is currently a lot of the non-native synergy that we had that I had been able to get in the game was units. I wanted to see a little bit more with action. Yes, I know that opens us up to action spam, but I thought it would be interesting, and I wanted to see where it would go. Especially since this is based around a very popular card in the Hearthstones.
You're talking to the person who doesn't really play Hearthstone to begin with, so.
Empty might know about this. Tell me about this, Empty.
Yeah, I do know about this. So I want this effect in the game, but really, did you have to copy the Hearthstone card this precisely? The stats are the same.
Hashtag Blizzard, please don't sue us.
No, it also synergizes with monkeys, so it's different.
That is the only difference.
Monkeys is a significant difference. Okay.
The copyright infringement. It's the monkey line.
Okay. So you wish the numbers were different.
Yes. Also, I kind of want it to cost less just so I can abuse it in food, but you know, it's fine.
Okay. So yeah, maybe this could use a numbers tweak just to make it interesting and differentiate it a little bit further.
Oh god.
Okay. And I think this is our last one for the
Nope.
What?
There's one
more.
more.
We got one more. This one I'm about to pull up is the last one. Is the Mistmalkin, which is a 2-drop mind 3/2 Spectre Cat from Seraphel. With untargetable and summon, you may bounce a unit if you do destroy this. What's funny about this prompt is I actually issued 2 versions of the prompt. One that was reference the Acoustic Kitty option to destroy this effect. Then another one which was do that prompt again, but this time I'm specifying its strength. And they both ended up using the same art, so they can't get in the game together. Just a funny story. What is this? This is a way to another bounce card, and a lot of people don't like the bounce cards. I understand. And I'm imagining the criticism is going to be this is too powerful, but we'll see. Empty, what do you think of this?
It is very strong. I love that it's not action. I don't want to give Rick more bounce fuel.
Yeah.
But I'd sort of agree with the criticism. Like bounce at 2 is already very strong, and having the option where you can just play it as a unit so it never blanks is like really good utility. And like the unit isn't even that bad. Like 3/2 untargetable is pretty solid most of the time.
Yeah.
So I think a bit of a number tweak would be necessary, but the design itself is great. Like Go-Chris makes very very interesting, simple designs that like have a very good use of their tech space.
I agree. What do you think, Grief?
It's strong enough to see play outside of Affinity as just a bounce effect on a unit. So technically, you're rarely ever playing it for the body, or else outside of actually utilizing it for that because you don't have a good target. And you'll either play this in a combo deck, but in most cases, a control deck or mid-range deck because of the tempo. Marie can even utilize this card because it's a body that dies.
Yep. And who cares if it gets destroyed, if it gets banished? So yeah, I agree. Super clean design. I personally hope it's getting in, but it's at 3.
Idle. Idle contract.
Yeah.
Draw a card.
So this was fun. I really enjoyed this week. I want to thank my co-host, Grief and Empty, for being on today. We'll get a guest next week, probably. Like, comment, and subscribe. Remind me why I'm doing this. And Keep on playing collective, keep on voting on cards, and play new Sentinels and participate in our competition. Bye.
Yeah.